Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and not necessarily those of Talktainmentradio.com, 3MR Production, its ownership, management, or staff.
We've got the power.
Talktainmentradio.com, the world's greatest radio. You're in touch with Deo.
And I'm Dwayne.
And this is Queer Minded, your hub for news, entertainment, and sass.
Talktainmentradio.com, radio the way it should be heard. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Queer Minded on TalkTainmentRadio.com with your host, Deo and Dwayne. Deo, of course, joining us from Cleveland by phone. Hello, Deo. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I am freezing up here.
Yes, it is rather cold outside in Ohio. But we are going to keep the show live and hot for you tonight, so hopefully you'll be able to stay warm listening to our voices. We have an amazing show for you guys today, and we have some amazing guests that are on the line. But first, we're going to do queer news, unless you had a queer phrase, Deo.
That is correct. I do have a queer phrase. The queer phrase this week is boogering. Dwayne, stop boogering.
What? I've never heard boogering. What is boogering?
Boogering is actually an international phrase that refers to the act of a man inserting his male member into another man.
Interesting.
Boogering is basically another word for, doing it in the butt. But it's English, it's European, so that's what they call it. Instead of, I was going to say the F word, shagging, boogering, they refer to the same thing.
So add that to your vernacular, ladies and gentlemen. Boogering.
We have gone international. Yeah.
Right. So that is your core phrase, boogering. And we do have a queer news. I do want to briefly introduce our topic before I do queer news. We're going to be talking with two amazing filmmakers about a very, very emotional documentary called You Were Not Alone. We actually will be talking with the director and producer, writer, director, and producer, Stanley Bennett Clay and Antoine Craigwell, who will be joining us just in a few minutes. But this is a very powerful documentary about depression amongst Black gay men, and we're just very excited because we're going to be spending most of the show talking about this very important topic. But like I said, we're going to do queer news first. So I just have three quick pieces for you to add to your news Rolodex for the week. So if you're in Ohio, this is very important. Ohio's Freedom to Marry, they're doing what's called a Valentine's Day marriage equality email campaign. So on Valentine's Day, February 14th, they're asking you to kind of mass email or mass mail your congressman, your state representatives, your governor, and just sending them a letter of support for gay marriage. And of course, as many of you know, we've had Freedom to Marry on the show many a time talking about the petition to have gay marriage added to the 2013 ballot in Ohio. So we're very excited about that. So there's some information. Make sure you go to Facebook, find their page on Facebook. Support Freedom to Marry Ohio is the Facebook name. There's an event up there, and there's a ton of information. There's a few websites you can go to, and they have actually some mock letters that you can just kind of copy and paste and send. But they really kind of want to hear what you have to say from your heart as an ally or as an LGBT person, why we need gay marriage in the city. So they want us to mass email every governor or the governor, the state senators, and the state representatives of Ohio. So secondly, as we all know, the inauguration took place on Monday, and it was a very historical inauguration for LGBT people.
Why is that, Dwayne? What was so historical about it?
Well, this headline has kind of been making the rounds, but basically Obama's inauguration speech makes history with mention of gay rights struggle and the Stonewall Uprising. So if you saw his speech, you heard his very inspirational words. He included LGBT people in his speech, like no other president before him. And I do want to read a little bit because, I kind of teared up a little bit, I have to admit, when I was watching the president at the inauguration. It was a very, very emotional, very historic moment. And so one of the quotes, "We the people declare today that the most evident of truths, that all of us are created equal, in the star that guides us still, just as it guided our forebears through Seneca Falls and Selma and Stonewall." And so he included Stonewall amongst the kind of very familiar civil rights movements that took place in the events of Seneca Falls and Selma, and kind of put gay rights on the same kind of level as all civil rights, all human rights, which no president has done. And he also mentioned our journey. One thing he said that kind of teared me up was, "Our journey is not complete until our gay brothers and sisters are treated like anyone else under the law. For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well." And that basically says it. That sums up, the gay rights movement in kind of just one sentence. And it was very, very moving to finally have, a sitting president validate, our existence and our rights. One last thing, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, something that I'm a part of is that I'm very excited about is called the Central Ohio LGBT Anti-Bullying Summit. And it's February 7th at Ohio State University. Make sure that you go and register for this. It's free, but you still have to register. Make sure you go to stonewallcolumbus.org. Stonewall puts this on every year. The Make It Better Foundation, which I'm a part of, helps put this on every year. And it's basically a time for educators to come together and figure out how we can, end this epidemic of bullying in our schools. So make sure you definitely check that out, stonewallcolumbus.org. All righty. So that is your queer news segment for today. All right, so we're going to get into the meat of our show today. So on the line with us, we have Stanley Bennett Clay and Antoine B. Craigwell. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Hey, Dwayne, how are you? Stanley here.
All right, we appreciate you guys taking. We appreciate you guys taking the time and joining us this evening. And I have not seen the film, as I've mentioned before, but I have seen the trailer, and I want to bring the film to Columbus because it's definitely something that we're dealing with all over the country. I think it's a film that resonates with a lot of different people, and we do want to play just briefly a bit of the trailer for our audience, just to kind of get a sense of what this film is about. So we'll do that now.
Still in the closet about my homosexuality. I was still trying to come to grips with being gay.
Being raised in the church, that was a big, big no-no.
The good books say a marriage is between a man and a woman.
What's wrong with you? Do you need to see somebody? Do you need help?
That was the one thing that severed any relationship that we ever could have.
I was promiscuous, and I stopped counting after 100. Hey, I'm my experience, if that's what you want to call it.
I was actually a college student at 19 dealing with HIV.
If I'm going to die anyway, why am I fighting?
I just wasn't happy anymore with life or myself.
I think I was kind of forced into believing that this was just a part of life.
I guess I knew when I woke up in the hospital on a gurney, being wheeled into the emergency room after taking a handful of muscle relaxers. That was a clear sign that something was up. problem is in your head at the moment. So you gotta talk to other people. You've got to share.
All right, so that was a bit of the trailer of You Were Not Alone, and it premiered, I think it was just earlier this year in, I believe it was in New York City. Is that right, Stanley?
Actually, it was, I believe, Antoine, it was November 17th, okay. Right? Yes.
So it was late last year.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I know and just so everybody knows, I'm actually also wrote a piece about this amazing topic and this amazing film for Outlook, which will come out, Outlook Columbus, for those of you who are in Ohio, Outlook Columbus, February issue. It's a full spread about this topic and about the film. And we talked, and you guys mentioned that the premiere, I know especially Antoine, that the premiere was very moving. There was a lot of different things that went on, and also it was very well received by the people who were there and the people who've seen it so far. What has the response been, Antoine, from people who've seen the film?
Even going back to when we screened the rough cut of the film to focus groups and to the mental health review panel, up until some of the other screenings that we've had, is that everyone who sees this film at the end of it are in tears, are cheering. They're cheering during moments in the film as well, and even we have a habit of talking back to the screen as though, well, the screen's going to talk back to us. A lot of people after the film are saying that this is something that needs to be seen.
Right.
And a lot of people are acknowledging that, yes, finally, there is something here that gives the black gay men, the black gay community, a voice, an opportunity to speak out and say, well, this is what we're dealing with on a daily basis.
Right.
And we can overcome. And the process of overcoming and surviving and being still a part of the human race is the beginning to accept yourself. So
right.
What we are hearing a lot of is everybody's coming out and saying, this is something that has to be seen, not just by black gay men. And more people are saying by black women, by mothers, by fathers, and then by the wider community, the white community, the Asian community, Hispanic community, because it can be related, the issues can also be, can apply in any different culture.
Right.
Because some of them are still universal.
Right, yeah, and definitely what I'm hearing from people who've seen the film is that no matter who they are, they relate, because I think a majority of us experience depression, and many of us don't know how. It's a very difficult time, and you wonder how to get out of it, and sometimes you do feel like you are the only one dealing with it. So let's talk about quickly the journey of the film. I know it started with a book, and I know Antoine, a book that Antoine was writing. For those of you who don't know, Antoine is a award-winning journalist and author, and I know Stanley was brought in later to direct. And Antoine, just briefly talk about how you first decided that this was a topic that you wanted to write about into film.
Could you repeat that?
Just talk briefly about the beginnings of why you started focusing on this topic.
Well, in some senses, and that didn't become quite clear until I was really into a lot of the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
That in effect I was telling my own story to some degree.
Right.
Of my own struggles with depression and my own feelings of attempted, of wanting to take myself out. But without even realizing it, it is a process that's been germinating in my mind for more than since 2004. And then in 2006, another friend, a colleague, every time I hear him speaking on the phone, we would be talking on the phone, I can hear him with a glass and ice and some liquid, and he'd be slushing it around. He'd take a gulp and drink, and every time we talk, he's always drinking. So once I asked him, I said, well, why are you drinking? He said, well, it's just to take the edge off.
Mm-hmm.
And then he referred me to an article he had written where he where he described his struggle with depression. And then it became clear to me that he was dealing with depression and he was using alcohol to self-medicate. And I started listening to other people that telling their stories. And I just thought, well, let me try to see if I can write an article, because after all, I'm a journalist. That's what I do. But when I started to research it, to put the material together, I could find nothing to which to refer. I was like, why isn't there any material? And that now sparked a whole interest in saying, you know what, then I should do something about this, because how many people are going around living lives in a cloud or in a fog and thinking that that is their normal, when in fact they are capable of a whole lot more, but they just don't know. And the choices and the decisions that they make and the lives they live, they could be so much better and they could be so much more. And there's so much potential. And so I started doing the interviews, interviewed black gay men from around the United States, various states, from the Caribbean, from Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad, Grenada, and from Africa, from Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. I interviewed black gay men. But because I couldn't find a publisher, then I realized that people respond more to visually. That I decided, well, let me do a documentary and see if I can get some of these guys to do the unthinkable. Go in front of a camera and talk about their experience, talk about their story. And at first there was a bit of reluctance, but then I reached out to specific people, and they were willing, and they came, and they sat down, and they told their stories. And very many of the stories that many of the guys told, I'm sitting in front of them, the camera is right over my shoulder, and they're looking at me, and I am in tears as they're telling the stories, because these are guys that I know. These are people that I knew.
Right.
And I did not know this, and I was hearing these stories again, some of these stories for the first time. And so much of what they were saying was resonating within me.
Right.
That I could just sit there and cry. One of my friends who has been sexually abused several times and told his story on camera, and in 2011 he was with me as a panelist in Washington, D.C. for D.C. Black Pride. And he was there to talk about his experience of his sexual abuse. He left the hotel where we were. I walked him back to his hotel where he was staying, and did not know that very afternoon he attempted to drunk himself in the bathtub.
Oh no.
Okay? Until he sat in front of me and he was telling me, and I was like, well, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you? But then realizing now I've got all this footage of interviews, I happened to meet Stanley, and I was telling him what I was doing, and he says, I'll do it. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah, I'll do it. So we talked, we sat down, and we worked out a contract and so forth. And Stanley looked at the interviews and wrote a script. He sent me the script. I read it through. And when I finished reading the script that Stanley wrote, I realized that Stanley was capturing exactly what I wanted.
Right.
Because what I wanted originally was to have the stories told, the interviews, and then to have them reenacted so that to bring them out.
Yeah, we're going to talk about more about that after the break. We do have to go to a break, but we want to talk more definitely with you guys about kind of the root causes of this film and why it's making a huge impact. And of course, we're going to bring Stanley in more on the conversation. This is TalkTimitRadio.com, the world's greatest radio and home of Brother K educating to liberate on Conversating the AM. Get your lucky number at 9:11 a.m. Monday through Friday at their new time, 8 to 10 a.m. Stay right there. Up next, we'll be talking more with Stanley and Antoine. This is TalkTimitRadio.com, Queer Minded with Dale and Dwayne.
Your middle name. Oh, I know you're no good, but you're stuck in my brain. And I wanna know, why does it feel so good but hurt so bad? My mind keeps saying run as fast as you can. I say I'm done, but then you pull me back. Oh, I swear you're giving me a heart attack. Troublemaker.
The hardest thing to do at times is to make changes in your routine.
Don't let that hold you back.
Oh, wait a minute. They told us we had it all sorted. Well, yeah, I guess in a way we are running out of oil.
Your opportunity is now to get up-to-the-minute information, great entertainment, and stimulating talk programs on your computer.
We are three voices.
Just log on to TalkTainmentRadio.com, click Listen Live to hear a program. TalkTainmentRadio.com can also be heard on your cell phone. Talktainment Radio. We go where you go.
Look out, automobiles. Here we come.
Now that's radio. The world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard.
Delightful Cakes isn't just cakes for birthdays or anniversaries. Delightful Cakes is also cookies and cupcakes, pies, fresh coffee, and of course, breads. Designed and made to your order by Sandy & Company with fresh bite-sized samples always available. Mention Talktainment Radio for 10% off your total purchase. Ask for details. Delightful Cakes Bakery. Cakes for every occasion. 2171 West Dublin Granville Road, just off 315. 614-209-2471 or sweet wishes at delightfulcakesbakery.com.
I'm Susan Matthews. I'm the owner of A Gourmet Twist. We've been in business for 8 years. We offer great gift baskets, gift boxes of homemade chocolate. Some of our products are cake balls. We have all different flavors. Everything's made from scratch. We have pretzel rods that are wrapped in caramel, dipped in chocolate. Gourmet graham crackers, gourmet apples. Our flagship product was the pretzel. It's a long pretzel rod wrapped in caramel, dipped in chocolate. Probably one of our most popular at this point are cake balls. We have a candy buffet. We do a lot of corporate orders. We mail them out in beautiful gift boxes that are wrapped in silk ribbon with tags on them to personalize them for their clients. We have a lot of specials that are going on right now. Our baskets range from $30 to $150. We take all types of credit cards, cash, typical retail. agourmettwist.com or the number 614-330-8768. We appreciate your business. Come see us.
Franklin is the only place to go. I met some really amazing people.
Everything transferred over.
I'm impressed with the technology that Franklin uses. It's really been a great confidence booster.
You can do it.
You can do it all by attending Franklin.
All right, everybody. If this one doesn't get your toe tapping, check your pulse. You may be dead. Here it is, coming to you in living cola. Refreshing Pepsi Cola. From the wonderful folks who put the R in cola. I'll be signing off now, because it's my bedtime. I'll catch you on the flip side. Be there.
I like this job.
Who's serving up a big breakfast this weekend?
On an endless buffet, a juicy steak.
Don't flip out. Only Golden Corral would include steak for breakfast. It's on our endless weekend breakfast buffet, all for a great low price. Only at Golden Corral.
I'm Tammy Rager, host of The Now Age and numerologist to the stars. I've got your lucky numbers on Conversate the AM on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9:11 a.m. Make sure you tune in for your lucky number. Punch in TalkTainmentRadio.com and click on Listen Live and listen for your lucky number.
Hey, Macklemore, can we go thrift shopping?
What?
I'm gonna pop some tags. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm hunting, looking for a come up. This is heat of muscle.
Now, walk into the club like, what up? I got a big. I'm just pumped. I bought some shit from a thrift shop. Ice on the fringe is so damn frosty. The people like, damn, that's a cold side honky. Rolling in hella deep, headed to the mezzanine. Dressed in all pink, set my gator shoes. Those are green draped in a leopard mink. Girl standing next to me. Probably should have washed this.
Hello. Welcome back to Queer Minded with Dale and Dwayne on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Today, our show is about an amazing documentary called You Are Not Alone that focuses on Black and depression amongst Black gay men. And we're talking with the filmmakers Stanley Bennett Clay and Antoine B. Craigwell. Stanley, I want to bring you in quickly on the conversation. Before the break, Antoine mentioned that you kind of he loved the script and the kind of way you put things together when he told you about this project. So it sounds like you got what the message of this film was right away. What about it resonated with you so quickly?
Well, I think that anyone just looking at the raw footage of the various individuals that are interviewed, you can't help but be completely moved by their stories. And as I watched them, I was in tears. It's this thing called depression is such a devastating killer in our community. And the fact that it was personified by these individuals on film just made it so clear. So the vision for the film it wrote itself. There was not much to think about. It was, the storyline was right there in front of me. What I became actually was just merely a secretary, writing down the emotions and the feelings and the stories that was evoked from these different interviews. So it was a great privilege. It was a great honor for me to be able to be involved with this, and I feel very fortunate that Antoine allowed me to share in this, because it is very important. And I think the other thing too is that one of the things that I wanted to emphasize in the filmmaking process was that, as devastating as this problem is, that there are solutions. So at the end of the film, there is a hopefulness that we can survive this. We as Black gay people have gone through so many things. This is another one of them. But as we have survived so many other things, we can survive this too. And hopefully that message will come out. And there's something that Antoine says all the time, which I think is very, very important. If by seeing this film, one young Black person will not take their life, one young Black person is saved, then our job is done.
Right.
Or at least at the beginning of our job is done.
Now, I know, Stanley, as many probably do know, you are a award-winning director of stage. You've won you've won NAACP Image Award. I know your background is mostly in stage. How did you approach this kind of documentary style differently?
Well, actually, stage is part of my background, but my background is primarily in film, as an actor, as a director, as a filmmaker. So that's what filmmaking comes sort of naturally with me.
Okay.
But the thing that I think that marks all of our work, whether it is stage work or film work, is that I try to get to the emotionality of whatever it is that I'm doing.
Right.
The heart of it. These are individuals. These are people, and it doesn't matter how clinical a story may be. It doesn't matter how scientific the story may be. At the bottom of it are the hearts of the people that are whose story this is about, and that's what I try to go for. And I think that especially with Antoine's help and his production guidance, because as a producer, he was a jewel to work with. He bent over backwards to accommodate everything we needed. And even though we were on a small shoestring, we were able to make a really quality piece of work because of everyone pulling it together. And Antoine was there, hauling people around until 3:00 in the morning in his car from one end of the city to the other.
Wow.
So it was quite an undertaking. But I think the thing that we had going for us was the fact that everyone involved was so committed, and you could tell that, and you can see that in the film itself.
Dale, you had a question?
Yeah, I wanted to. Well, I have a few actually. I wanted to quickly ask. You were talking about how long was the process, and where are all the people located? Are they all people that you know, your friends, or are they random people? So how long was the whole process, and then, where did you get to find people? Did you hang out outside a counseling office? And then pick people up?
Antoine, I think let's see. I believe. I think I came on board sometime in August of last year, right, Antoine?
Yeah, around about June, July, August time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
And how did you?
It went through. It went through October.
Okay. And were all your subjects, Antoine? Were all the subjects you interviewed, were they in New York City?
No. We did some people who are from New York, some were from New Jersey, and others who were in Washington, D.C., and Baltimore and Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
We have a good, I guess, wide net of more of the U.S. view of dealing with depression. So what exactly does DBGM stand for, and what services does it provide, and how does it relate to the film?
DBGM is Depressed Black Gay Men. You just keep it very simple. So there's no mistaking and there's no confusion about it. Just a little bit, if you look at the logo, you will see the logo has a reverse G, which is for gay men. But because black gay men are not so often accepted, it is reversed. Mm-hmm. Also, the bottom part of the G is the equivalent of the arrow that is a symbol for men. And it is maintained as red in homage to those who are dealing with HIV, who are dealing with depression as well and being HIV positive. The organization DBGM is just being founded, is just being formed, formalized. But what the intention of the overall organization is just very simply to raise the awareness of the issues that cause people to descend into depression. That depression is just one step before suicide, in whichever form people want to commit suicide, either using drugs, alcohol, promiscuous and unsafe sex, or harming themselves or others, placing themselves in the way where the police can kill them, or go and get themselves in gang situations, or pick up a semi-automatic and go shoot up a supermarket and turn the gun on yourself, or have the police shoot you. Right. Okay, that's a form of suicide. Okay, but it's not a traditional form. Mm-hmm. So what DBGM is trying to do is saying to everybody, now let's look at the reason underneath this. Let's go to the root and see what we can do to try and bring the awareness. And as long as you're aware of something, that's half the problem over. That's half the solution. Mm-hmm. Because then you might be now much more empowered to go out and find the other half of that solution, right, to find the help that you need. So let us go back to some of those families and let us say to them, how many young boys are being sexually abused by older adults in the family or familiars? Let us go back and let us say to those young boys, if somebody comes and tries to touch you or do something to you that you know is not right, you find somebody to complain to. And even if they don't believe you, you find somebody else to complain to and make people believe. Because how can a 10-year-old boy give permission or encouragement to an adult for him to be sexually abused?
Right. Now, when I interviewed you for the Outlook article, you mentioned in the research for your book, originally you, I guess, had discovered there was 5 root causes that you had discovered for depression amongst black gay men. Can you kind of go over a few of those?
Yeah. And coming out of the research for the book, which became, elements in this documentary, there were 5 common themes that contribute to depression in black gay men, that black gay men are specifically affected by. And you have, first of all, the case of the situation where you have of sexuality, sexual identity, and sexual expression. You've got that denial of self,
right,
for being who you are. The second, you've got any sexual abuse and trauma that a young black boy would have experienced or suffered. The third, you've got the role or the influence of religion, whether it's Christianity or Islam or Muslim, because these particular religions have very strong condemnation for black families, for black men, for black gay men.
Yeah.
Then there is the stigma and the discrimination and the effects of the HIV virus if you happen to be infected with HIV. There are 3 sides to this HIV issue. There's the stigma and discrimination discrimination that causes you to feel depressed or causes your depression, it makes you feel less about yourself, so you go and you contract HIV deliberately in a hope to die.
Right.
But then when you contract the HIV, the virus itself acts on your neurological system that causes you to descend into a deeper depression. And then because you're HIV, there are still members of the community, whether in the black gay community or the black community, who will ostracize you, who will discriminate against you, who will stigmatize you because you're HIV.
Right.
So there are three sides to that HIV component.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the section now for those black gay men in our community who are getting older and how they feel isolated, how they feel abandoned, how they feel alone, how they still see that there's a generation gap, and the things that they have to go through, declining health, loss of income, loss of families, confined to living alone. And even if they live in a living assisted facility or a nursing home or whatever, they'll be forced back into the closet because some of their contemporaries who they're sharing the facility with still carry the homophobia.
Right.
And so they will have to go back in the closet after all these years. And that causes even more stress and more anxiety for them. That causes them to descend into depression. Right. So when you see a 60-year-old man or a 65-year-old man commit suicide, you ask yourself, why? What has happened that has caused this man to do this after all these years?
Right.
That has not healed for him.
Mm-hmm. So I only have a few minutes before we go to a break. Quickly, Stanley, what do you hope audiences will take away from this film?
Well, I hope that they take away a hopefulness, that they understand what the title means, that you are not alone, and that, as we join together, we can help each other. I think one of the things that the film emphasizes is to talk to other people, to reach out, to seek therapy, to seek fellowships in organizations that are affirming, and to fellowship at these places, because there are many people that are going through this depression sort of thing, and you can help each other simply by just fellowshipping, talking about it, and coming up with the solutions. Particularly with therapy, because therapists have many, many answers, and the affirming church has many, many answers for us. So it's just about realizing that you are not alone, and the fellowshipping is one of the great things that can lead you on the road to recovery.
All right. We're going to go to a quick break, but I do want to let you know we're going to open up the line on the phones for people to call in. If you have a question about this topic, if you're dealing with depression, or have a question just about the film, definitely give us a call, 877-932-9766. That's 877-932-9766. Give us a call. This is talktimeradio.com. That's our address, worldwide and locally. We're here 24/7 around the world, radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We'll have more with Stanley and Antoine about this amazing film, and please call in.
I don't know how you do what you do. There's everything that don't make sense about me. It makes sense when I'm with you. Like everything that's green, girl, and needs you. But it's more than one, and one makes two. Put aside the math and the logic of it. You gotta know you want it too. 'Cause I wanna wrap you up, wanna kiss your lips. I wanna make you feel wanted, and I wanna call you mine, wanna hold your hand forever, never let you forget it. Yeah, I wanna make you feel wanted.
Talktainmentradio.com is now more listener friendly. We've categorized the programs that air on Talktainment Radio.
Wednesday, news, politics, and sports.
Compensatory concept. Out of sight, out of mind. Fight back. Talking sports.
Go to talktainmentradio.com and click on programs for times and podcasts. Click Listen Live for current programs being aired. We are the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard.
Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?
Sure. What's wrong?
I'm in trouble at school because I've been reported for bullying.
Why are you bullying?
I was bullied last year and no one helped me, and I didn't tell.
But you should have told. Tara says it's okay to tell.
Yes, but now I have to tell my parents and I don't know how.
You have the trust coin, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Well, you show them the coin, they will always listen.
Yes, you are right. And then I'll also tell them I was bullied too. Thanks.
You're welcome.
At highway speeds, the average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. That's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts. StopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Saving energy saves you money. Whether you switch to Energy Star light bulbs, install Energy Star appliances, or add extra insulation. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Business owners and managers, be among the first to experience the latest in cutting-edge technology from Microsoft, HP, and others during the Microsoft Across America mobile event experience. Learn how the newest technology tools can help your business grow. Don't miss this fun and free event.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Inspirational Moments.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Another inspirational moment from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
I'm Tammy Rager, host of The Now Age and numerologist to the stars. I've got your lucky numbers on Converse Satan the AM on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9:11 a.m. Make sure you tune in for your lucky number. Punch in talktainmentradio.com and click on Listen Live and listen for your lucky number.
Tell them simmer down, taking hella long, give it to me now. Make that thing pop like it's in me or a 9. Ooh, baby, like it raw with the shimmy, shimmy, yeah, huh? ASAP, get like me. Never met a mother fresh like me. All these mothers wanna dress like me, but the chrome to your dome make you sweat like me. Cause I'm the killer, the coochie killer. Like how you figure, getting figures and keep it triller. She rolling switches, bought her chickens. I bought my, they getting dinner.
Hello, welcome back from the break. This is Talk10Radio.com, Queer Minded with Dale and Dwayne. We are talking about the film, the documentary You Are Not Alone, with the filmmakers Stanley Bennett Clay and Antoine B. Craigwell. We are opening up the floor to questions from listeners. Please call in 877-932-9766 if you have a question, and we will put you on the air with Antoine and Stanley. I do want to briefly talk about what's happening with the film now. I know that there are a couple festivals that the film has been entered in, and it's the film is getting a lot of buzz and notoriety around the country, especially and even in Columbus, Ohio. People have been talking about this film and how that much they would like to see it. What is going on with the film currently, Antoine?
The film got accepted to the Pan-African Film Festival, so we're all heading out to LA for that. Mm-hmm. It got accepted by the for the 9th annual Oakland Black LGBT Film Festival in Oakland. And then we got not so much a request, but more like a demand from the Montreal Black LGBT Film Festival. So one of our executive team is going to be heading out there to Montreal to represent DBGM and to represent the documentary there for that screening.
Wow.
We also have a number of festivals that we've applied to, as well as we are doing a number of screenings at different locations, or in different cities, at conferences, at we're actually doing another screening in LA while we are going to be there. I think it's the Unity Fellowship Church of Christ place where we're doing a screening there as well when we're out in LA.
Go ahead.
Just before we go on, there's just one thing that I really wanted to actually highlight, and that is, along with a number of people who were very instrumental to doing this documentary, the interviewees and the many cast and crew that worked behind the scenes, I just want to also give a big shout out to some of the people who contributed original music for this documentary.
Right.
So we've got Naj, who wrote and performed and arranged a song, specifically titled song for the documentary, called "Hold On, You're Not Alone." Then we've got Damien Price and Praise, who did "I Am Healed Today," and "Work," performed by Alvin Ledlon from Belize. And then we've got "Demons," or Father and Son, performed by Lester Green. And finally, we got "I Will," performed by Marshall Titus.
Right.
These are all, music that was done for this documentary. So we are very, very, very grateful for these artists.
Now, are there plans for the film to be released on DVD, or how can someone get a screening to come to their city?
Well, if somebody wants to get a screening, then they just simply reach out to me, send me an email at antoineb@dbgm.org, and we will, discuss it in our board and see how how soon we can get there, and whoever it is in whichever city or state, to see if we can coordinate it and make it happen. With regards to getting copies of the documentary on DVD, one of the things that we are hoping for is that somebody would be willing to pick it up and assist with that distribution, and then it's there. Then it's anybody can get a copy.
Right.
But one of the things we're not doing is that we're not putting it online, and we're not sending it. We're not just sending a copy to somebody just like that, because next thing we don't want it. We don't want it. All the hard work that has gone into it. We don't want it out on YouTube.
Right. You have to protect your intellectual property. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Deo had a pretty interesting question that I wanted to go to really quickly, and then if anyone calls in on the line, I'll bring them in the conversation. But go ahead, Deo. Go with your question.
So, in talking about solutions for dealing with depression in the LGBT Black community, what are some solutions? Because I find it interesting that statistically, I think we have about 300,000 psychologists in the U.S. alone, and out of that, only 6% of them are actually minorities. So how does that, how does the lack, I guess, of culturally competent therapists, affect people getting help? How does your organization help, individuals find culturally competent therapists if it's only 6% of the 300,000?
Well, what we have done is that on our main website, dbgm.org, we actually do have a link to resources page, or a section on link to resources, and there we have a database of Black mental health professionals around the country by state. So you just type in your state, the state initials, and it pulls up all the the Black mental health professionals in that state. This is a list that was compiled using connections and people in the Black Psychological Association, the Black Psychiatrists Association, the Black Social Workers Association on a national level. So we call those names from those organizations. But I'm glad that you raised that question, Dio, because that is a very important aspect of the healing process. And one of the things that we have discovered, and as a matter of fact, a black psychiatrist who pointed this out to me, he said that one of the problems is that even in the black community, you're going to find there are black mental health professionals who are not culturally competent to address the issues of depression or mental illness in the black LGBT community because they're not being trained that way. And secondly, in black mental health professionals don't really want to pay much attention to their own kind because they're like, you know what, they're not going to pay. They don't have insurance. I got student loans to pay. I got to pay back for this. So I'm not giving this away for free.
Right.
And it's not until 2014, according to the HIPAA Act, that Medicare will fully fund and pay for mental health services. But then the question remains, how many mental health professionals are going to want to accept Medicaid?
Right.
Medicaid. The other side to this, though, is what we're advocating and saying to people who are going to therapy, that yes, therapy is important, and therapy is even more important if you're HIV positive, because one of the things you don't hear about is the interaction of the drugs you're taking for HIV on the neurology of a person. So it is important that if somebody is HIV positive and they're taking medication, that person also sees a therapist to help to balance. Or when you go to see a therapist, when you go to see your regular doctor and he prescribes medication for you, you ask him what are the psychological side effects of this medication. But the other side to this is that what we're trying to say to people is if you're going to see a therapist, even if it's a black therapist, you go in there for a consultation. It's an interview. It's as if you're interviewing that person and he's interviewing you. And you ask him, how comfortable are you in addressing or dealing with somebody who's black and who's gay? Are you familiar or comfortable dealing with issues of, homosexuality? Are you comfortable dealing with a black person? How much do you know about black issues? And if the therapist cannot answer those questions, then you know you're in the wrong place. Just excuse yourself, get up, and leave. You may have to look around for another therapist, but it might be worth it in the long run for you to sit down with someone who understands who you are, who understands where you're coming from, who knows the sociological and the cultural background that you bring with you when you come in there, that they can help you to talk through and to get through there and to begin to heal.
Right.
That's what we're advocating, and that is what we're suggesting to people.
Mm-hmm.
So in this bad economy, there's psychology students, or you're thinking about being a psych major, there's work to be done.
Right.
There's a significant amount of work to be done there, and I think the thing about it is that on a bigger level, each of us have got to demand two things: that our respective states give more money towards mental health services in the black and the black gay community, and secondly, on a much larger scale, to ensure that in the training facilities for mental health professionals, in medical school, in schools that teach social work, that cultural competency, LGBT issues be addressed. Coming up early next month, I've actually been invited to a college here in New York to speak at the to give a multicultural lecture on addressing the issues of mental illness in LGBT to medical students. And they're going to be seeing a condensed version of the documentary. So we're already beginning this process. And thankfully, through the work of Dr. Jeffrey Gardier, who is the co-executive producer of the documentary, he is helping to facilitate and get us into some institutions of higher learning so that we could begin this process and they can be challenged to revise their respective curricula to reflect teaching cultural competency.
Right. And even, like Dale said with there's not many culturally competent therapists, this conversation we're having, there's not much research on this issue.
Right.
as well. And I know you're in the process of trying to get this book published, Antoine, and I really hope that you do, because we need more definitive kind of research, journals and definitive kind of research books and different things on this topic, so that, and especially paired with this film, people can use, professionals can use to kind of learn about this topic.
I think another thing is it's hard to do research if individuals aren't able to come out and share their voice. And so what we have is a lot of voices that aren't heard. So there might be studies, there might be different things going on at different universities, but they can't find individuals. Mm-hmm. And that's because we're not playing our part in the community as well to kind of step up and get the information or get our voices out there. Right. So it's twofold.
Right, very true. Stanley, I want to give you, we have just like a couple minutes left. I want to give you the last word. What has your experience been like with making this film?
Well, it was as depressing as the subject matter can be. It was experience because I knew that we were doing something that was going to help a lot of people. So we worked very, very hard on this, and I think we all gave our all simply because we knew that we were on to something that was going to help a lot of people. Yeah. So, it gave us a sense of purpose, of absolute and complete purpose. And I remember when we first showed the first cut to Antoine, and he broke down and cried. And it was a great feeling to know that it was going to touch people, because it was touching the producer who was there throughout the entire process, and then when he saw it all together, it moved him, and that was what we were trying to do. Right. And we see this in the audiences that see the film constantly, people that are completely moved. And when people are moved, then they're moved to do something and to solve problems and to accomplish some kind of good. So that's what I was trying to do as a filmmaker.
All right, we do have to end our show, but I do want to leave you guys with the website. So for more information on the film, make sure you check out it's yana-thefilm.com. Correct, Antoine?
Sorry?
The website for the film, it's yana-thefilm.com. Yes.
yana-thefilm.com.
Mm-hmm. And for more on depressed black gay men, what is the website?
You can go to dbgm.org, as in D as in David, B as in boy, G as in God, M as in man.org.
All right, there you have it, everybody. Make sure you check this out. Check out this film. Support this organization. We need more work like this being done. Next week, we are bringing back our very popular 5 Queers, 1 Mic. It's going to be a very fun show. Make sure you tune in. This was TalkTimeRadio.com. Queer Minded with Deo and Dwayne. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great night.
Ever wonder about what he's doing? How it all turned to lies? Sometimes I think that it's better to never ask why. Why do we fall in love so easy, even when it's not right?
the way it should be heard.